It's that time again. That is right beyond the pole, and she's still out of shackles, and she's back in the studio once again this week. Please welcome your host, Katrina Lee.
Hello, welcome to Beyond the Pole, and I have Zeus, our awesome therapy dog, and
Bailey in the house.
So it's going to be a fun time. I'm actually feeling a lot better. I was prescribed trazodone from when I left, actually, the Erie County Holding Center, and I felt like I had to take it because of court, and I got out, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel like depressed? Do I miss jail? Do I really want to be here that bad? And like I went through like 10 days of a horrifying blur where I don't even know what went on because you're not supposed to take it during the day, even though I was prescribed it, where I literally like slept through everything, was unbelievably depressed, barely functioning, crying the whole time and wondering like, okay, this should change soon. I mean, jail wasn't that bad because I knew a lot of people and it was like relaxing to get away from the stress of normal life, but that's usually something, it's not a personality trait I have. I'm pretty upbeat, and I stopped taking the meds yesterday, and I'm back to my old happy self, and everyone noticed a difference, and I'm not sleeping 20 plus hours a day, so.
Yeah, and as we discussed earlier, because I'm on trazodone myself, but I'm prescribed 100 milligrams at night for sleep. If I take 100, I am knocked out and worthless the next day, so I only take about 25 to 50. The fact that they were giving you 300 milligrams during the day is absurd to me because it has a huge sedative effect. It knocks you out. And actually, once I was at my day job, and I was home on lunch break, and I thought I was taking a vitamin D pill, and I took 100 milligram trazodone by mistake the other day, and I was driving the car, and I got dizzy from it, and I thought I was diabetic or something, and I figured it out, and I had to go home and sleep it off and return the car at midnight. That stuff's nothing to play around with, and that was only 100 milligrams. So they were, in my opinion, they were doing that to just like a straitjacket.
Yeah, knocked me out completely. And on top of it, I was on Lexapro too. So it was all these antidepressants that were really whipping me down. And I'm actually a really happy person. And I never needed antidepressants. I needed like a slight thing for anxiety because I'm in the amazing divorce from hell. So this was new to me. And I'm glad to feel like myself and not be crying for absolutely no reason about nothing. And on top of it, my mother's kind of obnoxious. So she kept being like, you're depressed, get out of bed, and blah, 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 and kept trying to force it. And I'm like, I can't even wake up. I can't even function. And I literally like lost 10 days. And now I'm going to get caught up pretty rapidly because I'm myself. And I'm like a go-go person, but, you know, not like a manic type phase, but, you know, a healthy Katrina style of a little naughty, a little crazy, obviously some very nice. So I know you have suffered a lot with depression and you've had some experiences going on.
Yeah, I've had, you know, when I first moved to Ohio in 2000 to be a pro wrestler, and I didn't have a lot of my support systems, a lot of my depression really came out. I kind of always knew there was something going on with me in college. I didn't know quite what it was. I thought I was bipolar, but I had got, you know, diagnosed with ADHD and major depression and adjustment disorder, which I still hadn't really figured out what that is to this day. I guess it means I don't adjust to things well. I don't know. I definitely get some PTSD effects with some, you know, things that had been done to me by, you know, a family member assaulted me that we were talking about earlier and some stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, meds are great. I mean, I'm still on them. I'm only on 60 milligrams Cymbalta, but you have to force yourself. Really, the best thing is to force yourself to do stuff. Go to the gym.
Face it.
Go to the gym, eat right, be busy. Lots of strategies. One strategy I even did for a while, and it's simple, but to get me out of the house, because I'd go days without going out of the house, is rent a movie from the Redbox.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had to return it by 9 o'clock the next day, or I got charged again. Even though it was only $1.25, I didn't want to be charged for it twice. Money, so it kind of forced me to get out of the house. This past weekend, I was starting to feel down because of a family function coming up that I'm not going to be able to go to. And to be honest, exotic dancing is my best form of therapy. And if it wasn't for having to do, you know, my exotic dancing show and then to bounce for Extraordinary Entertainment, I probably wouldn't have left the house this weekend. So as it turned out, I left the house, did a great show. The first girl was super cute, and my self-pact of not asking a girl out for 90 days. If this chick would have been single, I would have been asking her out. And she looked so cute in my cowboy hat. I was like, it looks better on you than on me.
Yeah.
And I told her if I had a replacement for the hat, I'd be giving it to her. And I also told her when I get the replacement for the hat, if I happen to be in her area, I'm sticking it in her door with a note, and it's going to say, it looks better on you than me. Right. But you better pre-warn your boyfriend now about it. But anyways, so that kind of helped doing that because I never want to let the girls down. It got me out of the house. I haven't
something to do.
I haven't had a drink.
There's some laughs.
Yep, I haven't had a drink in almost a month, which alcohol's not really a problem, but I wanted to keep it out. And then I bounced the chauffeur, extraordinaire. We had a good time there. And, then I actually went to Tim Hortons late last night, was just having coffee by myself, and I did a random act of kindness. This couple was in there. I don't know if it was a first date because he kind of had these look like mechanic clothes on. But anyways, they buy 2 medium coffees. He's fumbling through his wallet. He doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. I'm like, how much you short? Like $1 or whatever. He's like, well, I can go to the car. I think he was going to go to the car and drink his change out. So I actually gave him the $2 for the coffee as a random act of kindness. I figured, you know what?
I
made a buttload of money in tips, and I just found $5 more in tips on me right now, as you saw earlier.
Feeling generous.
Yeah, so I was like, it's good karma. Help someone out. Might have saved this guy's date. Maybe they're just friends, but they were real appreciative of it. So you should always be kind to people. So it's something I did last night.
Yeah, you got to spread the love and pass it on.
Yeah.
I kind of just did that the other day. I went to this place called the Bookworm in East Aurora, and they sell a lot of used books. And I've always been going there since I was a kid. But I actually saw this porno years ago on accident. My mom thought it was like a horror movie film. It was called Creeps, and the woman is a librarian, and she started like having sex with the book. So I've never been a fan of actually going to libraries or anything like that, or used books. So I turned in a lot of books that I had since I was a kid because my mom is like going through the attic and trying to clear it all out at this rapid rate. And I ended up getting $21.50 in credit. So I saw these 2 girls who never been there, and they were young. They like walked over. They're maybe like 12, or under. And I'm like, here you guys go, go get some books. You can get any of them with like the orange little sticker on it. And they were so excited. And everyone looked at me like, oh my gosh, that was so nice of you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm all about it. So
that's cool.
Little positive things. And one of our supporters, and I was kind of picking on him, I have voluntary interlock. And a lot of people don't realize there's such a thing as voluntary interlock. And I was up at Unity, which is in Rochester, and there's like places like Bryland and Horizons out in Buffalo, and there's obviously chemical dependency all over the United States. And I was talking to them about the voluntary, and they never knew that such a thing existed. They thought it was only mandatory through the government.
For rehab?
Yeah, well, for voluntary interlock. So like if you don't have to be told by the state because of a lawsuit or a DWI, you can just get in your car. And there's a lot of alcoholics out there, and they're afraid to go to places like they're going to get up and leave and get another DWI or end up in jail. And I highly recommend it to everyone. But in Buffalo, it's Ignition Interlock of Erie County Incorporated, and Nick's my buddy, who's like the person who owns it and sets it all up. And I told him I'm really a big supporter of it, and I'm like, you know what? I think we can take a picture of a bunch of like porn stars and stuff and be like, I like to blow, and then on the bottom, Ignition Interlock. He's like, no, you better not. You can't do anything naughty. But
it's a good marketing idea.
I told him, I'm like, it'd be great, and he was laughing about it because he's used to me. I've been going there now. I've had the voluntary interlock for almost 3 years, and it definitely is a good thing for me because I get I'm not an alcoholic, but when I get upset, it turns into poor coping with stress. And like I said, I'm in the divorce from hell, and all these awesome surprises happen on a regular basis. And I know that I'm not going to go to the bar, and I'm not a big person, drink too much, because 3 shots, I'm over the limit. People think it's just you can have 4 of them, but it's all your weight and height that adjust. And at least I'll never get a DWI or harm myself or another person. So I just can't start my car. I don't get in trouble if I blow it in. It's wrong. You just get stranded. And who wants to actually be in a strip club or at a stag really late at night alone? alone and like abandoned there. No one. And you can't really have someone else blow into it because you got to blow into it every 15 minutes. So unless you're in the car, and if you don't, it's this really high pitched screeching, beeping noise from hell pretty much that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't even stand it. But we are going to cut into our first song, which I picked, which is George Strait, Carried Away. I'm a big country music fan. It's just a positive little happy song. Beyond the Pole with Katrina, Lee, Zeus, and Bailey. I keep saying his name wrong, but because I'm awesome. I keep thinking like the liquor or something. I don't know. But I want to remind everyone to check us out on Facebook. We're Beyond the Pole Radio. And my personal Facebook page is Katrina Lee, KatrinaLee. And I post a lot of really fun, perverted jokes and stuff, but also positive things about people dealing with substance abuse issues and drug addictions, abuse, anything really that, they just keep it positive light. But I like sit there and Google image searches and I look for the most ridiculous, like perverted jokes. And I'm quite proud of my collection and what I post. A lot of people tell me how much they love it, but they can't like it because they don't want to have their parents or their wives see it. So I know you have some stuff to talk about.
Yeah. It's been an interesting week for me. And I'll try to sum it up real quick. I'm going to call out a family member here. Basically, about 1.7 years ago after the Sun Club, I had a family barbecue. I had a family member get mad at me. His daughter spilled a drink of mine. I teased her about it. We're all family. Everything's fine. Comes out, makes this big deal, gets in my face, wouldn't let me leave. And I'm like, I see where this is going. I'm just going to go. Kept it up. Called me retarded.
Yeah, oh, wow.
It got real bad.
Unnecessary.
Wouldn't let me leave. Then he proceeded to choke me in front of my mom and my niece and her party and our friends. Put me in a chokehold, wouldn't release it. And I'm in shock. I didn't be expected to be attacked by my brother. I can't swear in the air, but called me an effing loser. Wanted to kill me. Blah, blah, blah. I was the bigger person and didn't fight him. Again, I didn't expect it. It's the biggest regret to my life. I wish I would have just knocked his head off. I went back to the car, and I was still in shock with my mom. I said, Mom, I'm going back. This is ridiculous. Because the stuff he said to me was a lot of underlining issues over the years. So, anyways, that occurred 1.7 years ago. Since that time, oh, by the way, later that day, not one of my family members checked on me, too, which didn't sit too well.
That's terrible. That's not a good support system.
Yeah, that wasn't cool. I didn't do anything wrong, okay? And my counselor said, I don't care what you would have said. It doesn't condone... You can just choke people, threaten to kill them, and call them a loser. Whatever time someone says something you don't like, you're going to do that. So, honestly, the only way he's never apologized. He's never made any efforts. It's been me who sat out Christmas Eves and the holidays and been alone crying by myself. I've called him out multiple times on Facebook. I've written messages on his friends to meet me. And my solution, because I come up with solutions, is a boxing match. Seriously, we can run a ring, charge admission. Hey, go to charity. 3 rounds with a ref, sign legality forms. My counselor likes the idea. She said, if that's the only way I said, because I want to punch him in his head. And don't think I'm a tough dude, but I don't have any boxing experience, but I'd like to train for it. So I'm calling you out again, brother, for your underlying feelings towards me. Of course, every time I call you out because you're a coward, you just go and cry to mom about it and this and that. There's another family function this weekend that I don't get to go to. And no matter what, and this pertains to this show with exotic dancers sometimes exotic dancers and that, we're always blamed for everything.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I've had some family issues like that.
Yeah, and an example would be with him. I'd be at his family party, his parties, and his friends would come up to me and ask me about exotic dancing. So I'd tell them a story or two. They would go back to him and say, man, your brother screwed up.
Ugh, yeah.
And then he'd call me up saying I'm an effing embarrassment and stuff. There was stuff like this over the years. When I used to make films, his wife's younger sister, who was an ex-girlfriend of mine, made films with me.
Yeah.
She's in a bunch of the films. She was handsomely paid more than any other actress. She proceeded to have sex with me and my girlfriend off camera afterwards. I had my record.
Sounds like a good time.
I had my record, 8 orgasms in one night with a threesome with a girlfriend and a ex-girlfriend at the same time. You want to talk about feeling loved and the man. So we filmed I can't say it. The superhero series 2.
Yeah.
Then we went out to Farrell's or Madam's, came back, went at it all night. Okay. I drove the ex-girlfriend home, got flowers, gave it to my current girlfriend who was in my films by the name of Trixie Autumn, gave her flowers. We started talking about what we did. We went at it again, and I had another. I had like 8 orgasms. So my point was, when the family found out about that 2 years later, they played her as the victim. I was the villain.
Yeah.
Oh, you know she was screwed up, Paul, this and that. I'm like, you know what? This is business. You know, she knew what she was doing, and she had no problem having sex with us off camera. It was hot. Sorry. Yeah. So I was always made the villain by him, you know. And they do that to a lot of exotic dancers. It's like no matter what. Now they're talking to family because I've sat out on holidays. And I volunteered to sit out. He never did. And he should. And I've sat out. And I got forgotten about Christmas last year. They forgot to tell me where Christmas was.
Ugh,
and it didn't sit too well.
It's like already you deal with depression and you don't need that
thank
going
you.
on.
So I'm calling you out again, you know, because you wanted to kill me or whatever. Let's get a ring. Let's train. I just want 3 months notice. I wanted to get it done and get this going in June. You've, not responded to anything, so maybe we'll get it going this winter. But the problem is, I'm going to see you, bro, at a funeral or somewhere. I'm already sitting out of a wedding and certain stuff because I'm being the bigger person. Because to be honest, I owe him a punch in the head. And it's going to happen. There will be an altercation. And then everybody, and who knows, he started leaving. Who knows he's not going to drink and start with me, you know? And everybody needs to save the guilt trip and being like, oh, I need to be the bigger person. I've been the bigger person. And you know what? Being the bigger person doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So that's my call out to him. You're a coward. Bring it on. I've even tried to get some people to replace him. This racist guy I know, went to middle school with. This old high school football coach. I was trying to find him. That I don't like him, but I couldn't find anybody to replace. I wanted to make it personal. I wanted someone who hates my guts.
Yeah.
You hate everything I stand for as an exotic dancer. So that's just my spiel. I was getting into it with my family earlier, and I told them, I said, you know what? It's been educational. You guys are justifying him. Well, you shouldn't have said this, Paul. You shouldn't have. I go, okay, so anytime someone says something you don't like, you're justified to choke them, attack them, felony assault, and threaten to kill them?
Absolutely not.
And I was just like, and I have a loving family, but that stuff, and I told them, then they were talking about trying to cancel Christmas, and I'm like, you know what? No, so you can blame that on me too.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to save every penny now, and me and Zeus will go to Vegas.
It'll be a good time.
Go get a hooker or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll come up with something. Zeus has seen me have sex before. We'll get a hooker. He's seen me have threesomes. Actually, in Rochester. I don't know if
poor little eyes.
Oh yeah, you don't care, you know. And while I'm doing it, I'll be patting him all on because Zeus still gets the attention. So that's my negative spiel on the day.
Yeah. No, my parents have said that I got 3 Bijans. I have like quirky names for them. There's Dirtball, Sticky Mofo, and I have Piggy. And my parents are like, they're poor eyes. Who knows what they have seen? We had to save them and kidnap them. But I have a funny story. I was actually getting my oil changed, and I'm in East Aurora doing it because that's where my parents live. And I was out there. And the guy at TNT Oil, he's sitting there, and I'm like, hello. He's like, has the thing open? He's working on another car, and he turns around to like look at me, and he falls into, I guess it's called the pit. I called it the hole when I put it on Facebook. But he hits his shoulder, he drops down. I'm like, oh my goodness, are you okay? And I like run over, and that's a big drop. And he's trying to act like it's okay. I can see he's suffering. He's limping, and he comes out from the back. He's like, I'm fine, trying to act all coy and cool about it. And I'm like tastefully dressed, although I am wearing 5-inch heels. But there's nothing wrong with it, in a very appropriate dress. My mom's like, well, that's because you looked like a whore, and they're not used to stuff like that in Easter. Girls don't walk around in dresses. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a big hippie kind of area, and it's like everyone thinks they're better than everyone else, and I've never been a fan of that type of personality, but they're all wearing like flannels and Birkenstocks and stuff. So I'm like, I'm sorry, maybe that's why all your men heels? I know, right? I'm like, maybe that's why all your men are going to the strip clubs, and I see half of them, you know, when I'd be in Buffalo. But you know how it is. Luckily I don't have too many problems with my family with the dancer hatred or anything through the years. They're used to me, and they realize I'm not gonna change, and there's no point in harping. In the beginning there was some, but it was before Facebook was around, so I was able to hide a lot of it. And that was a plus. But my sister makes a lot of jokes, and it doesn't really affect me because I'm like, I make stupid money. I'm not on drugs. I have a lot to show for it. aside from my stupid mistake of the marriage, I never really had any problems, but they don't trust my taste in men. So they're like, the next guy that you start to date has to be approved by like 40 people in the family and background checked and everything, which I am prepared because, you know, we're all dealing with the wrath of he who shall not be named. He's like Voldemort from Harry Potter in our family, you know, Petamort we call him, which is actually funny. That's his nickname. And we also call him Crazy Pants, a lot of my friends, because you never know when he's going to pop up. And it was an amazing psychopathic relationship involving all types of abuse. So
I'll tell you the type of guy you need to go for, okay? This is a message for all girls. So I bounced for Extraordinary Entertainment. 2 of the girls had met me at my house in the winter to do a show. Yeah. Okay? It's winter time. I don't sleep with any of the girls. I don't date any of the girls. I bounce for them.
Yeah,
they're like little sisters.
You don't want
to
create comfort.
I protect them. The one stayed a little bit, hung out with Zeus. We were just chatting, whatever. It's winter. I walked her out to her car. I'm in a nice area. I don't have to. As I walked the car, I opened up my door and I grabbed my big snow brush. I cleaned off the snow off her car. Why? Just because. Yeah. That's the type of guy you need. Someone that will do that just because. This is just someone I bounce for and a friend that I'm not trying to get with.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
That's the stuff. This is the little things that people need to do and pay attention to. It's a character stuff.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that. Or how they treat their mom, which I treat my mom, even though we got into it today about the stuff, but I treat my mom very good. Or how they treat their animals.
Oh, yeah,
or their friends.
Important.
Those are huge things that you need to look at character.
Yeah.
That one book, and I'll post it on my page, Are You the One for Me by Barbara DeAngelis is a phenomenal book. It is a chick book, but I read it.
Yeah.
It's universal. And it's got a compatibility questionnaire on it, and you can rate your mate.
No,
and it's got this formula, and you can write everything you want down and keep it in your wallet, and it's like law of attraction will help attract what you want. But it gets you to really think and avoid toxic relationships.
Yeah.
It's from the late 90s. It's by Barbara DeAngelis. Are You the One for Me? I'm sure they got upgrades on it. But that's just the relationship tidbit I can offer.
I agree with it. And I see a lot of people who are in abusive relationships keep repeating the cycle and going and finding guys like that. And another thing I noticed, which I made this mistake, but it was like a drunken disaster, which, you know, I'm never going to repeat again that way. And the whole circumstances that it occurred are just absolutely ridiculous. And that's why it's being written about right now as we speak, and probably going to end up a crazy TV series. But if you notice that someone's been married and engaged 15 times in 10 years, there's probably an issue with them. And if they have a past abusive history and all these women have restraining orders, or the guys like telling them, oh, she's crazy, and they do that to get their next target, and then you're like freak out, and then they portray you poorly, so the person thinks they're saving them from all these bad relationships. Well, why are you in them in the first place? Why are you with these girls? Like, what's going on? It's most likely him. And I never had really that unhealthy of relationships. I was married for like 10 years with one of my first loves, and after that a normal one, and I'm friends with all my exes except obviously the current future ex-husband. But as you know, I usually have a great time. I have the same friends since I've been a little kid, and no complaints.
Yeah, that's people that jump around from relationship to relationship. Like I was telling you about on Facebook, this girl puts I need to date myself. And I'm like, she puts, I need to date myself. And I looked at her page. She had in the 1 year or year and a half, she was married and had 6 relationships. So I wrote, well, looking at your Facebook page, you seem to be doing okay with getting the relationships. Maybe you're picking the wrong type of man. And she's like, oh, who are you? Are you a fan or being rude? I'm like, no, I'm just observing what you wrote. She's like, oh, because what everybody writes on Facebook is true. I'm like, well, you wrote it about yourself. And then, of course, some internet white knight, and I hate you guys, you freaking tools, started trying to attack on me. And I'm like, you know what? The hell with both you. I'm like, you know, and you internet white knights, and I always harp on this. You guys think the girls like that, the damsel in distress, like, oh, I got to cut my grass today. This is a man's job. You know what? and you want to jump to the thing or whatever, if you ain't getting paid or getting something out of it, you're a tool, and you're dumb.
And the girl's not going to respect you. She's going to use you and then cheating or something, or take advantage of you, and you're literally a customer.
You're a customer. That's a
I've yelled at guys like that, and I had one of those. I called him an emotional vampire, and when I was down, he felt this crazy need to go save me and go above and beyond, but he was actually terrifying me, and he just kept going on and on like that. And I told him, like, you're making yourself a customer, and I'm in an industry that I can easily accidentally start using you for. Please don't do that. I'm never going to respect you. So I'm more apt to find a guy who's not interested in me, like chase him around like a crazy person.
Nice guys finish last, and there's a difference between a nice guy and a great guy, and I was reading it, and it was on my page. Great guys don't compromise their morals and values just to please somebody, like a nice guy. Those guys... They're tools, in my opinion. I ain't going to compromise. I've been single 10 years. I'll go another 10 years. I'm not going to compromise my values and my things to please a woman and, have some woman. Like the one girl was 46 years old at the one bar that I met, and she's already hammering on me on my mohawk, on the color. Dude, I just met you tonight, and you're annoying now? Yeah. How are you going to be in 3 months?
Ugh, I can't even
Ding, 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 ding. Far more annoying.
Yes.
So I don't want nothing to do with you. And then I tell them I don't want nothing to do with you. Then they do... You're mean. All men suck.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're drama already. You're already getting on my nerves, and we haven't met, or I've met you once. I'm mean. Then I'm mean.
Yeah, it's clearly her personality that sucks. So we are going to be cutting another break. What is the website of yours and extraordinaire which you bounce for?
My website is BaileyExoticDancer.com. My Facebook page, the name's under Paul Bailey. You can do Facebook Bailey Exotic Dancer. You'll find that page, or Bailey Entertainer. And then there's Extraordinaire Entertainment. I work for Jessica Leland, and we got some good, fine female dancers, and I bounce for them. We do some nice, fun, clean shows. So, definitely.
She runs a company that you can actually book, and you're not going to get upset that your husband or future husband's at, and you're not going to be embarrassed and worry about some fun STD or anything later on, which is great. But the next song you picked, and it is Separate Ways by Journey.
Alrighty, welcome back to Beyond the Pole. I had selected that song by Journey because I call it the worst song in the world. Now, it's not because of the beat, but my friends will get a kick out of this. The reason why it's the worst song in the world, listen to the message. The message is about a dude that treated a chick real good, and she left him, okay? But he's like, if he ever deserts you, true love won't desert you, He's the go-to guy. I'm sorry, man, you're a tool. And I'm sorry I'm pissing vinegar today, but you know what? It's just, this is the worst song in the world. Whenever I hear it, I just mock it. It's a terrible message to all men or women, because it could be universal. Like you have the girl you treat really good. She leaves you for some chump that she's known a month. Of course, that fails because all his promises of... in the first month is, I'll bathe you each night in lavender oils and massage your feet until you go to rest, bring you pizza in the morning. When all that disappears once he has you, and you realize this guy's a tool or a deadbeat, you want to go back to the go-to guy. Let me go back to the good dude that's always there for you. That's why that's the worst song in the world. And my buddies will always text me, and women, anybody that knows me, because I get usually pretty animated and mad when that song comes on, and they will text me and write to me, dude, the worst song in the world is called. I don't even know the real name of that song. I call it the worst song in the world.
Yeah.
So that's why that Journey song is the worst song in the world. I'm sorry, it's a terrible message, man. If you follow that, if you're the go-to guy, don't be the go-to guy. Cut the girl out, move on, get yourself a good girl, because... it's the worst song in the world, and you're the worst guy in the world.
It's amazing how many girls actually dance to it also. So
yeah.
I'm like, I knew what it was right away when I heard it. I didn't know by the name, and I'm like,
The video is horrific.
Healthy.
The Journey dude's got a mullet, and he's got this shirt with the sleeves cut off and no arms and these pink checks, and he's like, if he ever hurt you, true love won't desert you. It's terrible. So yeah, he's got his mullet. It's just terrible. It's just all around terrible. I like Journey, but I just think that's the worst song in the world. So that's my spiel on the worst song in the world.
Very good. But our Cat's Meow quote of the week is, all are lunatics, but he who can analyze his delusion is called a philosopher. And this by Ambrose Pierce, which I thought was really cool, and I like it. We're going to post it on the Facebook page later, Beyond the Pole Radio. And I know we actually been raising some money for Bobby Spears, and he's one of your personal friends. So why don't you tell us a little about his dilemma again?
Yeah, I'd mentioned last week my buddy Bobby Spear. If you hadn't caught last week's show, in a nutshell, he has a Prince Albert piercing. He was at a venue, like a rock and roll pole show, male and female dancers. Some jerk in the crowd decided to yank out his Prince Albert, causing damage to his penis down there. It's
what
just
a tragedy.
It's bad. He can never have a Prince Albert again. He might need skin graft. We're trying to raise some money for him. One, he's got lost work, a lot of pain, was on pain meds, which he doesn't like. I don't like pain meds either. For 3 weeks, in pain when he pees. He could physically, the rest of his life, be in pain when he pees. We raised about $920 so far. Katrina, you added some money. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll add more too, little by little. Kind of like you did being nice during the $2. I'm like, every time I do well at work.
Yeah,
I like the beautification of a penis. You know.
And help someone out. I mean, I'm scraping by. I'm on food stamps right now. I donated $13. One for each of my entertainer win. So the joke is we call it Save Bobby Spears Spear. Because one thing, and I was talking with his girlfriend last week before the show, and on Facebook, and because I said, I told Bobby we all like him to come next year to hang out, but if it's not comfortable for him, because he recognizes it might be depressing for him, we understand. Because it makes sense. You got to understand, it's a nude campground. He's there. He likes to show off his junk, okay, and compete. So not only can he not compete, he can't even show off his junk, and then furthermore, and she had mentioned, I didn't think of this, you're going to have people going up to him, oh, can I see it? Can I see it? Like, wanting to see the injury. And it's like, the dude's not a freak show, It's
no
like,
one wants it.
So I'm thinking...
But I would want to see it. I would be one of those people like curiosity, but I don't want to make someone feel bad.
Yeah, but we want to say... So, Bobby, we fully understand. We'd love to have you there, hang out. We're trying to come up with some ways to raise some money, like a 50-50, but... I found out you have to have a gaming license for that. So it's unbelievable. The owner of the Sun Club, if we did a 50-50, could get arrested. Yet you could yank someone's Prince Albert out and not much happens to you. It's good laws here we got. But anyways, so even if we raised some money, a few $1,000s, I'd suggest to his girlfriend, instead of sitting at home being depressed, and if it's too much for him to not go, which I fully understand if he doesn't want to come, maybe they can go take a trip somewhere, a weekend getaway in a cabin or whatever, I don't know, have some money, go somewhere.
Yeah, just something, just relax.
Go do something. So we raised about $920 so far. The goal is $5,000. It's on my page. I always link it on Katrina's page.
Yeah, and I've been sharing it too on the Beyond the Pole radio page. So,
and even if you could do, I have 1,200 Facebook friends. One thing I said, if everybody did $1 or $2, that'd be $2,400 right there. And that's a cup of coffee, man. I gave a couple at Tim Hortons $2 for their cup of coffee last night. So it's like, pretty much everybody can do that, So if you can help my friend out, because, just the cosmetic surgery, the insurance might consider this cosmetic surgery, and that could be expensive, and he could be in pain the rest of his life. He's losing out on business. It's just something nice to do. It's good karma for everybody involved. And make sure when you type in Bobby's Medical on the GoFundMe, it's him. It's got a picture of him in a cowboy hat and with his girlfriend, because there's a bunch of Bobbies with medical on there. Make sure you got the right one. So help save his tool.
Yeah, I posted on my page, and there's a lot of people when they saw us in an accident or like an injury through entertaining, they're like, I need to know this story now. So the word's getting out. So more people are reaching. The more you share, the more love's gonna be spread.
And it's awareness, because we dancers, we face certain dangers. That's why we don't. That's why we have stage names. We don't. If you're smart, you don't tell people where you live. You might have a separate phone for, you got to always be aware of your surroundings. He couldn't have prevented this.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. But that's just the reality out there. I'm always watching my back at my shows. I'm a guy, and I try to bring someone to my shows for the girls.
Yeah.
Because I've had them try to steal my crap or, do all sorts of nasty things.
Exciting industry.
Yeah, or you never know. Someone could be waiting outside for you. You don't know, man. Some boyfriend shows up. I've had that happen, trying to threaten me. So
yeah, I've had a guy actually jump out from under my car and stuff, not to harm me, but like in a creepy, obsessed way. And that was frightening enough. Yeah, under my car. So now, actually, I have a store in Playmates in Byron, New York. And it's kind of close to Batavia, and so they actually when they walk me out, they flash the flashlight around under my car and everything.
Yeah, because you would drive off and kill the guy, then you'd get sued.
I know, right?
It's like, dude, what are you doing
forbid.
getting off under my car? You deserve to die.
I know, really. Like, you don't have to go to extreme lengths to stalk me down. You can be like, here's some money and I will talk to you.
Yeah, really.
You don't need to jump out of corners in the dark and stuff or chase me down. And I hate it when people do that at Walmart and places like, oh my gosh, it's Katrina Lee and stuff. I'm a human and I have slight social anxiety disorder. And you're not going to catch me at my best. You're going to catch a scared, awkward, doesn't know exactly what to say person. And so I have started at Unity, which is they have mental health and they have chemical dependency awareness located in Rochester, court mandated. I am in DV court, domestic violence court in Amherst, and I'm literally in 10 different classes being forced to take this for one call back on a violation restraining order for being annoying when my future ex-husband called me first. It's absolutely ridiculous because it was ongoing and he physically abused me so many times I never called the police on him. So if you're in that situation, ladies, and you're afraid of your partner, what you need to do is, even if you can file a report. You don't have to press the charges, and at least then if it doesn't work out, you can be protected in the long term. Because I look back at what I didn't do, and I mean broken arm, the medical records and everything, which is all showing, but I wasn't able to get the immediate help. They're like, well, why didn't you say anything now? And that's a mistake. And you can get it through the hospitals, everything documented. So you can go back and get the protection you need when you're away from them, which I suggest to everyone. But at Unity, there's this neat write-up that I grabbed about National Wellness Week. And it's celebrated annually during the third week of September. But it's, a while away, but I want to get involved with it in some of the programs going on. But they're saying it's especially important for people with behavioral health conditions because it directly relates to their quality of life and longevity. And that the sad truth is that individuals diagnosed with mental illness die years earlier than the general population, with heart disease being a big culprit. And individuals with severe mental illnesses also experience diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, hypertension, and obesity at 1.5 to 2 times the rate of the general population. And unaddressed trauma can also impact overall well-being. Trauma, by definition, has lasting adverse effects on individuals' functioning, physical, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And you and I both have issues with PTSD, and mine was from severe abuse. And you had the situation with your family. And I think it's something extremely important that people need to be aware of, especially because it can affect your health in all ways, shapes, and form. And there's 8 dimensions of wellness, and one is emotional and is coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. I'm in a court-mandated class on that, and having a healthy relationship. Financial satisfaction with current and future financial situations. Social, developing a sense of connection, belonging, and a well-developed support system. Spiritual, expanding our sense of purpose and the meaning in life. And that's a big thing I know with AA groups and stuff. It doesn't have to be about God or whatever, but a spiritual, higher being, and that you need to think of someone else, not just yourself, because a lot of addicts are greedy and selfish, and it's like me, and that's not the most positive thing. Occupational is personal satisfaction enrichment derived from one's work. Physical, recognizing the need for physical activity, diet, sleep, nutrition. Intellectual, recognizing creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills. And environmental, which is good health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that support well-being. So this 8 dimensions is a pretty cool little circle. I'm going to post that up later on our page. And there's all different stuff that you can check out online at www.hhs.gov, which is the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And I recommend people, especially struggling with this, check it out.
Yeah, we're laughing because Zeus is taking a water break and walking all over her notes. But yeah, some of the stuff, my working with, mentally ill adults, and there's definitely correlations with stuff. Now, I worked with severely mentally ill adults, and some of the health problems and the physical problems too is also related because some of my more low functioning guys, don't cook for themselves, only eat microwave foods, only eat at 7-Eleven, don't, take their meds regularly or check blood sugar. Cigarettes, that's huge. There's a lot of my clients a lot of cigarettes and coffee. So there's a lot.
Yeah, I noticed that they're all like running out to smoke, and that's a lot of problem. Like when they go to the rehab facilities, they're saying they're like desperate for cigarettes.
Oh,
it's crazy.
It's huge. And even though what's funny, and my one of my bosses used to say is like, no matter how poor they were and never have food, you know, it's amazing how they always found a way to get their addictions met. And it's true. They'd always somehow get their cigarettes and their coffee. And 99% of the time when they said they didn't have any food, they had some food. It was only like once that I see someone not have any food. You know, so some of them did manipulate. You know, I've seen it all. But the bottom line is there's programs out there to help people. In Buffalo, there's no reason for anyone to be homeless. There's no reason for anyone to not be getting case management and these programs, because we used to take the worst of the worst clients, like we call them the frequent flyers, because they would be in our program, get out, you know, because we can't find them, commit a crime, go to jail, go to the hospital, come back, re-enroll, go get housing again, free, and it just kept going, and we kept taking them.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like they didn't want to really put any effort, and even the lowest functioning person knows some right from wrong, and knows to make some effort, you know. Even some of my very delusional clients knew to do some basic stuff. So
it's a great thing to actually take advantage of these programs before it's too late, because you don't want to be in the jail, because that's where they'll put you, especially if you're having issues, and it's not really healthy or safe. And I witnessed personally from the Erie County Holding Center severe abuse that was going on to mentally handicapped people, and it's the worst place possible for detox, and is frightening. And it's funny, actually, as you're doing that, is Zeus right next to me, and my Red Bull can that's 16 ounces is bigger than Zeus. So I needed a little surge of energy. You know, I love sugar-free Red Bull. I should actually be a spokesperson for it. Every place I've worked, I'm like, you need to get the sugar-free Red Bulls for me. It's very important. But we're going to cut into a song that I picked. It's actually You've Got Time, the Orange is the New Black song by Regina Spektor. And I've been watching the movies and watching the series, just kind of Netflixing it all. And I'm laughing because it's so realistic to what I experienced. So welcome back to Beyond the Pole Radio, and you can listen to us live at 106.3 FM, and we're live streaming on rochesterfreeradio.com. We're also available on podcast, rochesterfreeradio.com/podcast. We are every Sunday from 5 to 6, and usually our podcast is up by Tuesday. And we've had a very exciting week, and we were just informed as we walked in the studio that we were picked up by a station in Vegas and one in Reno, and we'll know tomorrow about one in Hawaii, which is perfect because I go to all the trade shows and the AVN Awards, so we can interview a lot of people. And upcoming this month is Callie Jane at Candy's in Waterford, PA, which is outside of Erie, Pennsylvania. There's no cell reception in there. And I always laughed about it. It's like an adult playground of everything you ever imagined, with like a big Pinocchio, and he's got a penis as a nose, and just a lot of weird stuff going on, like a naked dance club. There's like a swinger shack. It's bring your own beer. Dance. The cop car dances, gymnastic bars. It's like pretty much this guy is just... He's like Dennis Hoff, and you know, everything. He's like that big personality. He wants the girls to call him daddy, and kind of this was his dream. And he used to sell, I think he still does, is Joe Cunningham cars for years in PA. So it's cool. It's about 10 miles up from the casino. I have worked there a couple of times through the years, but I'm kind of loyal to partners in PA for selling clothes, and they all have conflicts with each other, a lot of the clubs. So I kind of have to align with one of them for promotions. And I do a lot of sales down there, and Erie pays tax-free on dancer clothes, so it's kind of cool. And if you nail a lot of clubs, they make you do 1099s, or they have to put you on payroll, so you can use them as like work expenses and write them off. So that's something I noticed has changed.
And I can align with Callie Jane because she's hot, and she's my friend, and I know her from the Sun Club, and she does some good fire acts. And I had to defend her real briefly. I did one of my pretty friends posts and had her photos on there, and some religious dude started writing comments on her thing. Kelly, why don't you settle? Time to grow up and settle down and be with a good man, a godly man.
A godly man.
And like hammering on her. So I posted a picture of me half naked. I'm like, hey, I'm a godly man, like a Greek god. I'm like, I'm built like a Greek god. I'm like, leave her the heck alone, dude. You know, like you're born again Christian stuff, that's fine, but you're pressing it on dancers like we're so messed up. And I wrote to her. I was like, "What's with this dude?" So, yeah, my buddy Kelly Jane's a good entertainer. Go see her. And if she wants a godly man, she knows where to find him.
Yeah, right. No, like I like to laugh around. And when I was dealing with all this court stuff, and I had to talk to all these doctors, and as a mental health lock, I had to talk to 2 outside psychiatrists. I said, "Well, I'm one of the most mentally stable people in the adult industry," and they looked at me like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, "I'm a beacon of stability and mental health." But I do have a master's in social work, very educated, and I do like constantly learning. So when I make a mistake, I try to make sure I'm not repeating the same mistake over and over again. But the last song I picked was because I am watching Orange is the New Black, and it is so much like my experience with general population, including that we had a transgender who had his penis changed, a full vagina, butt implants, and amazing breasts, like better than almost every female I've seen who's even had them done. And Erica is her name. It used to be Eric, and she should be on the show next week because she just got out of jail, and the whole time kept saying how bad she wants to come. And she's a riot and funny as hell. And my other person who's right next to me, we didn't have cellmates because they were individual cages with bars, and lots of bars, double linear like catwalk. But I used to like other types of bars, and these bars are more depressing and they're not as fun. So I'm trying to stay away from bars as a whole.
I'm curious what the vagina looks like.
I know, yeah, and she's proud to show it to everyone because she paid over $30,000 for a lot of this surgery. So we're going to see if the guys on the show after us can tell if she's a woman or a man. We're going to play which one which had the change. So thank you for listening to us, and we'll be back again, and we're just getting bigger and better every week, and it's a pleasure to have such a wonderful fan base.